Hey everybody, this is Bug Out Junkie on another Bug Out Junkie adventure. Well, I was thinking some of the things that I've been working on as far as prepping is concerned is my knowledge of edible plants out in the wild, in the bush, on the side of the road, things like that. I recently got me a new book, this one right here, The Complete Guide to Edible Wild Plants. And for the money, it was only, I want to say maybe $5 or $6. I got it off Amazon. But for the money, it had some really nice colored pictures in it. It's got caution warnings in it. It has all kinds of neat little things, but something that we always take for granted, and this is really important to understand, is that we take for granted that our food will be readily available and easily to prepare. That is not the case. So in an extreme shift situation, which I do believe is coming, and a lot of people who have homes right now won't have homes. A lot of people who have gas, electric, water, running water, and utilities are not going to have that stuff anymore. Well, the world's not ending, okay? It's just ending the way that you know it. You will survive. You will progress. There's two ways out of it. Either you survive or you die, just to be frank about it. So it's human nature to survive. We know that because we're still here after all these thousands of years. But one thing that I found really cool about this little book is that, and I'm adding it to my collection of home remedies and things of that such. We'll go through my book bag here in just a minute. I at one time had a large library of all kinds of bushcraft, prepping, household remodeling, any type of book you could possibly think of. I had those. But on this one right here, the cattail, if y'all don't know what a cattail is, they're those little green things that grow on the side of the road, kind of sticking up out the ground, sticking up quite far out the ground. Actually have a brown top on the front of them. And when we were kids, we used to get them and hit each other with them, and all the seeds would explode everywhere. It was really cool. But with cattails, they're found throughout most of the world, and in sunny areas like margins of lakes, streams, canals, rivers, and brackish water. I'm just reading it out of the book right now. But what I wanted to tell you was the young tender shoots are edible, raw or cooked. Okay, the rhizome is tough, and it's kind of starchy, and it is a good source of starch if you just had to do that. You can use it as flour as well. But anyway, here's a little picture of the cattails. But this is one of my new books, and some of this stuff I already knew, and I went through and I folded the pages down, because you never can tell. Some of the stuff that's around here is pine. You can actually eat pine. That's when you hear me talking about I'd rather die under a tree eating pine bark than submit and comply with all these ridiculous mandates that's going on. But that's where I get that from, because you can actually eat pine, okay? But you want to do some research. Don't be stupid, okay? Don't be one of them ones that just, it was said on the internet, so it must be true. And no. Do this research yourself. If you can't afford to buy the books, go to the library and just copy off some of the pages that you're going to be interested in. So that's one of my books. So some of my other books, this right here, first aid. I've got my CPR first aid certification, but I still carry this with me because sometimes, if you don't use it a lot, sometimes you might forget a couple steps in it. So I've got my first aid book, and you can get these free actually at the National Safety Council. They'll send them to you for free, but it has everything. You know, it has dislocations in it, facial injuries, I mean all kinds of poisoning, what to do on poisonings. You know, most of the time you're going to call 911. Okay, this little book, this little bitty tiny book that cost 99 cents back in, gosh, I don't know, 1995 is what it says, has all kinds of nature's healing herbs like alfalfa, cayenne pepper, psyllium, red clover. I mean, all kinds of little things like if you got arthritis, bad breath, blisters, boils, you know, it tells you all these little neat little, it's a little pocket guide. And it used to be in my bug out bag, but I took it out for whatever reason, and I'm about to redo my bug out bag anyway. We went through a video a couple days ago, about a week ago, on all that. But anyway, like I said, I've got my little collection of books. Wild edible plants of Texas. See, whatever I can eat in Texas, I may not be able to eat it in your home state. And each state has these little books that you can get, practically relatively for little or nothing, couple dollars, $5 max. But you know, it has the colored pictures as well too, and it does have the poisonous plants and the plants that you'll have you know, allergic reactions to. By no means go out there and try and eat something that you know nothing about. That's one of those got your sign and it says stupid on it. We don't want to do that. You know, I'm not a doctor, okay? All I know is these things that I've done in the past, and like I've said, I've been prepping and working on survivalist skills for years. I just recently started this YouTube channel. Another one is, and it didn't take me long to read this book, is Going Off the Grid. It was pretty cheap, you know, because I started this process of going off the grid, I want to say at least a good 7 to 10 years ago. My main goal was at a certain time to be totally self-sufficient off the grid. I'm not talking about homesteading, okay? I'm not talking about that. That's something else as far as off the grid is concerned, because you're technically, unless you are not hooked up to any utilities from the city, state, local, or government municipalities, you're on the grid. We're technically on the grid just even using the internet, because I've got to have, you know, all this stuff going on so I can do the videos. But anyway, this was a good little book. It is something to think about for those of y'all who are going to be losing your homes pretty quick here because of all this stuff that's going on. Okay. This one right here, this is an old book. I've had this one for years too. It's Alternative Cures. Once again, I don't go to doctors, okay? Usually the only time I go to a doctor is if I'm out cold and I can't speak for myself, or if I'm about to pass out and I know I'm about to die. I'll try and figure out a way to get there, but I really don't want to go, okay? I don't take any medications that are pretty much over the counter on a daily basis. Maybe if I catch a migraine and my medical marijuana won't take care of it, I'll pop a couple ibuprofens or acetaminophen, hoping that those will help. Usually they do not, but I just carry them around just in case. Anyway, this is a good topic. Mind healing takes a lot of stress off of a migraine. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of little things in these books, and I've read them all several times. And I keep them handy because out of all my library, besides my Bible, as being the #1 most useful tool that I have in my prepping arsenal and survivalist arsenal, is my Bible, okay? So here's another one. The Healing Power of Herbs. Like I said, this is an old one too. I mean, I've had this for years, but you know, look, the spine's even cracking on me. But you know, you've got garlic. You know, just a little heads up, garlic helps in cancer prevention, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and infection. One thing garlic does do is if you have a steady diet of garlic, like I use garlic powder instead of salt, that garlic gets into your system and it repels ticks and fleas. But now that's one of those old-timey, you know, things. But so far, I ain't had no flea bites and no tick bites in almost 3 years that I've really been, you know, putting garlic in my food. Now, it does give me heartburn, of course. But anyway, this is another book, Healing Power of Herbs. Like I said, I don't go to no doctors. All right. Well, this one right here was used for something else, but Folk Remedy Encyclopedia. Olive oil, vinegar, honey, and 1,001 other home remedies. Okay. There's a lot in here on diabetes and blood pressure. Like I said, I am not a doctor. I can only go by what I have used and what I have done that has affected me in a positive way as far as my health, my physical health and my mental health is concerned. Okay? It's a good read, and it does have a lot of information in it, but it's the Folk Remedy Encyclopedia. That's a really good book too. I've read it several times. All right, now I no longer have a roof and 4 walls. Okay, I'm pretty much nomadic. I'm gonna have me a spot here in Oklahoma for about a week, and I'm not sure where I'm going to go after that, but you know, wherever it is, believe me, I'm going to be nomadic. But some of the cool things is one of the books that I saved. And see, I can plant tomatoes pretty much anywhere, especially if I get back off in there in the bush or something. I can put me some plants back there. I have no problem with that. But this little book right here, Gardening Secrets. It's a Reader's Digest. I got it at a secondhand store for 5 cents. Okay? 5 cents. Those are wonderful places to find good old books. The older the books, the better, because they haven't been edited and, you know, and made to dissuade you from doing what has worked naturally for hundreds of thousands of years. The newer ones, well, you're going to have these warnings. Don't do this without this. Don't do this without this. Get permission first. Do that, you know, as if you have absolutely no control in your health, your welfare, or your well-being. But anyway, this is where I got one of the ideas I'd mentioned on another channel about I always have flowers or a couple little weeds in my garden. When I used to grow big gardens, I always have that in there so it would attract the bees and the other little pollinators, the you know, the ladybugs and the little frogs and things like that. I tried to grow as organic as I possibly could. One of the best gardens I ever had came from compost of my dog's pookie doo. That garden, I had pumpkins so large. I had pumpkins, zucchini, yellow squash, cantaloupes, watermelon, corn, tomatoes, green beans, okra, broccoli. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I said cucumbers. I had eggplant. I had so much coming up in such a small area just off of that compost. And it was just eggshells, banana peels, doggy pookie doo. And I was feeding my dog real good food too. Don't get me wrong on that. You know, just yard clippings, all this kind of stuff as I made in that compost. Boy, I babied that compost. And that garden came up so big, I couldn't give it away fast enough. I mean, but this is a good little book. That's in my prepper stash of food and how to get food and everything. Now, at one time, I was thinking about getting like one of those RVs and traveling around, this, that, and the other. And, you know, me being the type of person that I am, it wasn't going to be feasible, you know, as far as finances go. It's just too much. But I picked up this book, and you can get this off Amazon, on how to do your own solar power panels, and it's relatively cheap. Harbor Freight, they got everything you need to set up a solar panel. I was thinking about setting one up on the top of my truck, on top of Jolene, but you know, that's still an iffy there. Okay, here's another one. How to disappear completely for survival. I suggest that, you know, it has a few little things in there, nothing really important. It's pretty much common sense type stuff. But anyhow, now I have canned before. It's been a while, but it's only been like on top of the stove, pressure in the water boil. And I've got this right here. This is a good book to have. If you are new to canning, go and get you this book. The Ball Blue Book Guide to Preserving. Over 500 recipes. I got quite a ways through it, but you know, like I said, I'm nomadic now. I don't have the setup to do all that kind of stuff no more. And the rest of that stuff in my bag, it has to do with some school stuff, but it's not important. But those are the most important books that I have. Number one being my Bible. And you know, now I know that I cannot carry this bag of books with me if I am truly bugging out in an SHTF scenario. But it is good to, you know, you can always tear pages out of them, fold them over, and put them in your bug out bag, you know, as far as looking for herbs and things like that to eat along the way. But I love my books, and I'll read them over and over and over again. The other thing is that my cigar keeps going out. I do not and have not, nor will I ever fit a textbook dictionary picture of what a prepper is. Okay? Here at the end of the week, I've got my spot set up, and I'm gonna start putting my money where my mouth is and really get out here and work on some survival skills. Now, I will still have that level of comfort because I am going to be in a state park. So it's not truly like being out there alone in an SHTF situation. And it's only as hard as you think it is. If you think it's going to be hard, well, then it's going to be hard. What the problem is that you're not going to have fucking comforts that you're used to. That's what makes it hard. That you actually have to get up and go do something. You have to get up and go get that firewood. You know, I'll do a little video here in the next week or so on collecting firewood and getting the fire started, because that's a very important thing to know how to do. But for now, this right here is my list of books. I suggest, if you are a new prepper or even a seasoned prepper, or even homesteaders, bushcrafters, things like that, you know, you educate yourself on the things that you're going to need, and even educate yourself on some of the things that you're not going to need or that you won't, because you always prep for the least expected situation, okay? And that's just how it happens. And we've all learned this year that the things that we've prepped for, they come in handy, but some of the things we didn't prep for. So anyway, keep on prepping, people. This is Bug Out Junkie with another Bug Out Junkie adventure commentary on books. Ciao, baby. Ciao, 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 ciao.